Biodiversity advocates are anti-development. If you do not stand up to them, you will pay the price for their tantrums. So who do I mean by biodiversity advocates? These are the people that are biodiversity advocates. So firstly, we must understand the full context of species population in the world. So for this, I use Global Living Planet Index, and this is compiled, this is being shown by our worldindata.org, and this website belongs to the Oxford Martin University. So we have very good measures of species population since 1970 over the 5 animal kingdoms. Mainly they are mammals, birds, reptiles, amphibians, and fishes. So as you can see on the 4th bar here, amphibians, they are experiencing largely a decline, and this is expected to be so because amphibians have always been volatile because they depend on their special ability to adapt to land and water, and when that special ability is stretched, they are the easiest to die. So at a glance, if we look at 5 animal kingdoms, only 2 of them have more than 50% declining in population. So for fishes, they are fairly neutral, 49% and 51%, so 51% on the declining rate. So it's not true that overfishing is accelerating the decline of fish population if we look at it in the world context. And certainly not all of world's wildlife is struggling. Some population, some species, some animal kingdoms, they are surviving, they are thriving, they are doing well, or they are doing very well. So if we need to stretch further our timeline to understand about species extinction, then we need to use the colonial records that dates more than 500 years ago. It started from 1500s. But this kind of records only captures birds and mammals. So what we have here is the number of extinct species per year. As you can see, the peak of birds and mammals extinction peaked between 1850s to 1930s. This is explained through colonial migration. When colonial masters they went from the continents to the islands, they brought with them pests, diseases, and species. So the continental species, they are adaptable, they have the immune to all these disease and pests and species, but the island species, they are weaker, so they go extinct when they come into contact to all these foreign invasive species. And as you can see from the graph, the influx of colonial migrations are over, and we are past peak extinction. History and numbers do not lie. Invasive species are the greatest cause of animal extinction to date, not from climate change and certainly not from development. After understanding the full context of animal species, their extinction rate, their population through 70s till now or through the last 500 years, we must understand the biodiversity advocates mindset. So what are they thinking about? They will put the needs of animal species above the needs of human civilization. Do not believe them when they say, do not believe their euphemism. Their euphemism of wanting to strike a balance, strike a harmony between humanity and nature. Please explain to me this balance. What is it? Can you define it? In truth, they will use all of their free time and all of their power to try their best to stop development as much as possible. Are you pro-human or not? What biodiversity advocates really want is for human to tiptoe around nature. They want to enclose human civilization in the name of nature. A pro-human stance would like to enclose nature for the well-being of humanity. So are you pro-human or not? It depends. It depends which side do you want to enclose. Do you want to enclose humans or do you want to enclose nature? Biodiversity advocates methodology of raising awareness. So if you do not know by now, raising awareness is just euphemism for advocates to attract attention and justify their own societal identity and self-importance. So what we have here is a complex food chain. What biodiversity advocates would do is to zoom in to one species, study all the survival requirements of that species, and try to correlate it to human activities. We all know that in those complex food chains, maybe the predator suddenly became greedier or hungrier, and that may have an effect on the whole entire system. Biodiversity advocates are only interested in emphasizing humans' impact of nature. They are not interested, I repeat, they are not interested in emphasizing nature's impacts on nature. Why is it always blame on human impact? Is it always justifiable to blame humans whenever there is a change in nature? Are humans to blame? Why must humans restore nature's biodiversity? To restore presuppose that nature is static, but as we know, nature is dynamic and always evolving. Restore to what and at what cost? These are the questions that is always on my mind. I'm always thinking about this question whenever I see biodiversity advocates. Can any biodiversity advocates give me an answer? So these are what the advocates' activities are on the ground. They talk to government agency to advise them to build around nature, effectively making it harder and more expensive for it to develop. This will directly translate to higher HDB prices and transportational prices. It's always assumed that the Singapore government is the most pragmatic and the most pro-development. They will always choose the least cost and the largest bang for buck way to develop. This is true in all of our nation history. But things are starting to shift. Biodiversity advocates are constantly talking to different government agencies and putting pressure on them to build less and build around nature. There is no pro-developmental voice. Yes, Singapore may complain about higher prices, but do any Singaporeans dare to stand up to advocates that weaponize disingenuous compassion to gain attention for themselves? So, in summary, these are the four challenges for biodiversity advocates. Why are monkeys more important than human babies? Why is it always blamed on human impact? Is it justifiable to blame humans for any changes that occurs out there in nature? Could it be that nature has an impact on nature? Why must humans restore nature's biodiversity? To restore, we must ask restore to what? Restoration assumes that nature is static. However, nature is dynamic and always evolving. And at what cost do you want to restore nature?